That's with the doors shut. Obviously the seats are still the old ones, but I think it looks pretty decent really, doesn't it? Welcome back into episode 121. So in last week's video, last week was a bit of a break from the norm, wasn't it? Because I did a video on my 911. Hope you enjoyed that. If you've not seen that, click on my videos and sort of go back and have a look. The last 9 to 8 I did was a few weeks before that, where I was trying to chase down the temperature gauge that doesn't work. I went all the way around the houses, removing the temp sensor and all these different things, even bought a new temp sensor. Then I realised it was all right and put it all back in. This week I want to do a bit of a tidy up on the car. I've moaned forever about the windows, the door panels, all these sorts of things. I'm going to try and put something back on the car. If you're enjoying these videos, please remember, click the like button, that really helps me. Subscribe, that really helps me as well. Leave me some comments because that really amuses me. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, of course. But let's just dive in there and see what I get up to. I think I've moaned about it enough now to warrant actually trying to fix it. The windows. Windows don't go up and down because the motor is here. If I can get it out in a little tub. This motor always had a problem. It's very slow, very grindy and whiny when it goes up and down. So I took it apart. I did all that off camera actually, probably a couple of months ago. Took it apart. Mine is of the sort that this back plate doesn't come off, which is annoying. The driver's side does. And when that comes off, you can actually get to all the gear mechanism and clean it out properly. This one didn't, so I've flooded it with brake cleaner and all sorts of things, just trying to get some lubrication in, try and get the old junk out and then put some lubrication back in there. So hopefully that's looking pretty good now. It goes up and down. I tested it on a battery, so that's fine. We'll put that in a little while. Before I do that, what I need to do is hoover out all the crap and everything, junk that's got down inside the door and rattles. I hate rattles in a car, which is comical because it rattles so much. So as I finally start coming through doing, not necessarily the final stuff, but getting towards the final stuff, I'll be looking to get rid of as many rattles as possible. So first things first, I'm going to hoover it out. Then I was earlier just checking if this glass fits, and the glass looks like it's slid forwards. There's a gap at the back of the window frame here, and it's too much glass at the front. So I think I just undo a couple of bolts that are about here, and the pane slides back a little bit, I think. So we'll be having a look at that as well, and then ultimately we'll get the motor back in there. Right, let's find out if these bolts do actually do what I think they do, which is allow me to move the window pane back a little bit. That's quite tight. It moves, but just, and I think it's probably just turning the nut on the other side of it. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, it's nice and fiddly. No, I don't like that. I may have to go look that up. You know how much I hate looking things up. I may have to. What I find though is this whole pane needs to go back, and I can't see any way that can happen unless these are undone. Perhaps I'll just undo this one a little bit more, at the risk of it just completely shattering on me. I think probably I'll wait. I don't like what it's doing. I don't know. Right, that's got the large chunks out. Let's see. Oh, I can have another go at that actually. Some wires in there as well. What I really don't want to happen is get my hands caught inside it. Let's just do what I can like that. That's a little bit tricky because the motor is too heavy for the connectors. So I'm just going to pop it on like that. All I'm looking for is to check there's power here. So let's just, there she goes. And back the other way. So the motor's working quite nicely now. Sure, could be quieter, but it's not bad. that was really making a racket when I first tried it. So obviously I've done a service on that now. It's pretty decent. In the background of all this, I've been checking the plastic, I can't remember what you call it, my memory's so bad. The plastic sort of shaft fitting that goes up and down here, whatever you want to call it. Mine seems really tight and it isn't wobbly or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is actually lube it up with a bit of white lithium grease and just check it again. But I believe it's all okay. So let's just smear a load on here and we'll put the window up and down a couple of times. I can just sort of lift it up with my hands and just sort of confirm to ourselves it's okay. If you were sitting there saying, horror, what on earth are you doing? Can you leave a comment? Look, if I... See, that doesn't waggle at all. Now, I'm sort of looking in there. It isn't the tightest fitting in the world, but if I just move it, I don't know if you can see. I'll give you a zoom in on that so you can see. Right, you should be able to see that. That's me. I'm waggling it back and forwards. You can see the door moving in and out. There is no play at all in that. Right, so I've got my my magic gun. Let's just buzz these up a little bit. I'm not going to over tighten for the minute. Let's just rattle them in a little bit like that. Right, so what I've been looking at then, let's just recap. I've got the motor back in. I've put lithium white grease stuff on all the bits and bobs. I've taken out any of the broken poppers or what you want to call them that keep the door panel on. Now what I'm trying to do is inch towards putting the door card on, and I know it all needs to come off ready for when I spray, but I'm trying to see whether they're the correct shape because I'm worried about the top not being bent over enough. I also created the armrests with my metal supports and I want to get the holes drilled, which I guess go here. I've not drilled the actual connecting onto the door holes because I don't know where they go. So I'd like to get almost like a test fitting to make sure it all fits and is all correct. Maybe even leave them on for a while until I actually do the final strip out for going for spraying. But it gets them out of my dining room, which is becoming a bit of an issue because I've got 3 door cards. I've got one pristine, I think it's a is it passenger or I can't remember if it's passenger or driver's side. One pristine one that I'm trying to sell, and the 2 that I've created. So I'd like to get them out, that'd be really useful. So let me just turn the ignition on. Where are the keys? Got the keys. Right, so I'm relatively happy with, it's noisy, fairly noisy. That just needs a new motor at some point. And again, I'll do that. I think I'll pop a new motor in there when we come to spray and I do that final strip. The window goes up, the window goes down. I'm relatively happy with how it does that. It's actually really tight. Little wobble there. It's not bad. There's no scraper, well, a broken scraper on the other side, so I'm not surprised it wobbles. But it goes up and fits in the door really well, mainly because I've taken this rubber insert out. I took it out very gung-ho, let's replace this, no problem. Then I looked up the price. they're nearly 300 quid a side, so 250 I think they are, so probably 500 quid just in this rubber seal. And it's strange what price does to you. Here, look, here's mine. Here's my old friend. Actually, it's not that bad now I look at it in that light. It's not bad at all. There's a little, okay. now I look at it, it's a little bit rough. There's a little bit broken off here. If anyone's got some of these, let me know. That might be handy. If not, I might be using that for the moment and then work out what I do with it down the line. If I replace or try and find some used ones or whatever. But anyway, I'm relatively happy with how the window goes up. What I've been looking at is how it fits within and whether it's wonky, whether it's too far forward, too far back. I'm pretty happy with that, but that to me looks really good. Let me turn the ignition off so it doesn't blow up my ignition coil. I left the ignition on the other day for about an hour and a half and I came back and there was a funny smell of burning and it was one of the ballast resistors that got very, very hot. So I don't want to do that. and I've done it before where I've left the ignition on in an old, I think it was a Honda Civic, and the ignition cord blew up and it sprayed this black tar all through the engine bay. Do not do that. Anyway, so what I'm inching towards then is getting this moisture barrier on. This stuff I bought, which is apparently the correct stuff. And I've also got the bitumen sticky stuff, which again, I think it's the correct sort of thing. Splat around, moisture barrier on, put the door card on. That allow me to check that I've got the correct poppers, which I think I don't, so that'd be really useful. And get the armrest on, which will allow me to get all the bolts and things lined up, which is really useful as well. And then, tentatively, there is the interior of the door finished. And the next problem I'm hitting is that someone's part fitted remote locking to this car, and I've got the wires sort of dangling out here. There's the solenoid inside the jigamy, and they've even disconnected the manual and got the solenoid in. Now what I need to do is decide whether I want to carry on down that route and work out how to wire these wires in. I've actually got the control box, but I don't know if I've got a remote control. I don't know what, anything, nothing about that at all. Or whether I revert it back to the original mechanical, which I kind of would prefer. I like things just to be a bit more traditional, less to break, back to original. So I'm going to look and see if I can unbodge that and get it back to the turny thing. We'll make it back to mechanical, I think. Also, the electrical box I've got for this, God knows what the wiring diagram is or where it came from or what make it is or anything. So I think that's probably a no-go. Right, I've decided I'm not happy with that motor making so much noise, so I'm going to take it out. I'm actually going to drill out the, I don't know what they call it, sort of studs that are holding the casing together. We'll clean out the gearbox properly, and then I can put some either self-tapping or some nuts and bolts back in there just to hold it together. But let's just buzz it out and get on with it. Right, let's see if these just drill out. I've got a relatively small drill. There, right. That wasn't so hard, was it? So there's the inside of the motor. There's not a lot of grease in there. I flushed that out pretty well and I squirted a bit in, but clearly not a lot stayed in there. I think what we'll do, we'll give it a really good flush out. I'll fill it with the lithium grease and then we'll put it all back together. And I'll self-tap these screws. I'm doing that really good spraying out in there now with brake cleaner. You can see there's a little cap under there that holds the end of the shaft in place. I'm going to re-grease all of this. Now, I don't know whether that should have my lithium grease or the normal sort of bearing grease. I'm going to have a quick look online. And then we'll put it all back together. I need to further drill out the holes so I can put sort of self-tapping screws in there. I'm pretty happy with how that's all cleaned out now. And I've been debating the great grease debate, as they call it. I'm going to use a multi-purpose grease in here, which I also use for, I'm trying to think where else I used it. Generally sort of bearings and things, but so I packed the wheel bearings with this actually. I'm not going to overkill, but I'm going to put enough in there. Let's just get there. Right, enough in there just to sort of pack around the outside. I don't think it needs to be crazy. It's more about this area that needs to be greased up, obviously. I'm putting a little bit around the teeth just so there isn't a dry bit that consumes all of the grease. So I think something like that should be enough. There we go. Right. I don't think there's anything crazy in the middle there. I'm going to pack a little bit in the bit looks like it might move. But I don't think there's anything crazy going on in there. That should do the job. But the bulk of the sort of worm drive there is packed up quite nice. And then the last stage obviously is just pop the lid back on, whichever way around it goes. Let's have a look. Not like that, probably like that. It all depends if I've actually drilled my holes in the right place, which I can see I haven't very well, and not drilled one there at all. Brilliant. Let's see if my screws will go in though, as we've got it. So if they do, we don't have to worry too much. I'll let you skip the really boring bit where I got those, I took the screws out, put new screws in, re-drilled it about 4 times, and you can jump to the interesting bit, which is where it's finished. So that's looking pretty good now. I'm going to get it back in the car and see if it whines now a lot quieter. My theory is that should be pretty good. Right, I've quickly installed the motor we've just rebuilt. Let's see how noisy it is now. Let's lean over. That sounds just noisier to me. Okay, clearly no quieter. If anything, they're a little bit noisier. But at least I know the motor's got nice new grease inside it, so that's good. I guess at some point we'll have to replace that motor, but for now it's fine. Let's just push on. Right, the last part I need to look at before I start trying to put things back on is this door mechanism here. So, originally, now I've played with it, so I can't demonstrate it now, but this used to just turn. There's a solenoid being fitted here with the magical wires that go all the way up the front there somewhere. When I bought the car, there was the command unit laying in the passenger footwell, I think, and I've stripped all that out. So what I've done is I've had a good look at this, and I've actually taken it all apart and resolved the problem. What it is, on the back side of this, there's obviously an arm with a pin, and that pin had dropped out of its the mechanism. So now, when I turn this, I don't know if you can tell, but everything turns and all the little bits and bobs go up and down correctly. So I'm quite pleased with that. What I'm going to do though is actually keep the solenoid wired in. I just need to hook it over this bit here. And then I can decide later if I want to wire up all the central locking system as well. It's just a cheap sort of aftermarket system, but it's probably better than nothing. Right, great. I've got all the central locking stuff wired in now. I've temporarily done it up there by the fuse board, but I'll come back to that later. What I want to do now is push on with the actual reason I started this. Well, the window was the main reason, but what I want to do is get the door panel on just to do a trial fitting. I want to finish the armrest support that I made however many episodes ago. Check the holes are drilled in the correct place, and basically fit it all on there and have a look what it looks like. Then that will probably stay on there until the car goes away spraying. At the moment they're sitting in my house, I need to get them out. So we'll get them on the car, basically just see what they look like. That'd be quite nice, I think. And the first thing I'm going to do is run around with this. I'm just looking at what you call it, a butyl rubber sealant. I don't know if you can read that on there. Can you read that? Maybe it's too small. This is apparently the stuff we use, so let's have a look. I've never actually looked at it, so let's have a quick go. What I'm intending on doing is running it. I think I'll go round down the sides first. That's very thick, isn't it? That is very thick. Let's just put a bit on and have a look. We can always take it off. I probably need to come in a bit closer than that, don't I? In fact, let's just cover where we need to cover, which is the hole, because rain cannot go straight through the metal. I've been looking online trying to work out where this moisture barrier should go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come across here like that. Basically follow that line there. That means it will cover this hole, and this hole. Come down the sides. And I'm just debating whether to do this area, knowing that I've got some holes that the armrest goes on. I assume that's the armrest down there. Or whether I come across the middle here. There we go. I think that looks pretty decent. I've got to cut a hole obviously where the door handle goes here. But that's not too bad. It can't be super tight on there. It's not going to ever be absolutely on there. But it's certainly going to provide some protection. Actually, just out of interest, I found the order form for that. That is the membrane from Heritage Parts that I'm using. It cost me, including VAT, £7. So that's pretty good. 1 metre by 2 metres. Right, I'm pretty happy with how that moisture barrier has gone. So we're going to try and fit this door card that I made. If you've not seen that, I'm trying to think how many videos ago it was. Quite a few videos ago. I made my own door, well, I reskinned the door card. I didn't make my own door card. Let's have a go at getting this on here. That sort of slides in like that, and then there we go. Right, that fits pretty good. Now I've not pushed in all the press studs, of course. I've literally put one in, that one on the top there. I'll get the armrest and we can try that in now. That's what I'm really trying to get to. And I'll cut this out, and I've got a hole to cut here for the little knurled plastic thing. We're going to have ourselves a door shortly. Right, I've managed to sort of very loosely bolt it on. I've got a bolt in this end. I haven't up the other ends, that's why I'm not touching it too much. And I've just loosely pushed in the Pasha insert. You can see what it's going to look like. And this should be a bit tighter. Being critical, I've been a little bit overzealous with the scissors on the vinyl there. I need to tighten up the vinyl at the top, this corner here. But everything else looks pretty good, I would say. I'm not seeing anything sort of wincing at it. This could be bent down a little bit more, so that's what I'm going to do when I finally take this off. When it goes to be resprayed, what I'll do is I'll actually soak along this edge with super glue, which will weaken it a bit, and then I'll fold it in and let it set. And that should give me that a bit tighter right angle on the top there. I mean, if it stayed as it is, it's not bad by any means. I'll give you a shot round there in a second. But that is not looking bad at all, I think. Right, I've run out of time about 5 times over on this video. I've taken the whole door card off again. I've re-drilled the bolts that go into here, the bolt holes. I've fixed the front on now, so this door actually closes. Actually looks really good, which I'll show in a future video. I've not cut the hole here yet. And just to remind you, I'm just putting this on, it's actually for storage because I can't have it in the house anymore, but also just a trial fitting, check how it fits, and just push the project on. I'm going to do the same on the driver's door. I will rewire the central locking system so that's all properly in and tucked up underneath the dash there. I won't bother tucking it up yet because the dash will be coming out sometime soon. But that's a pretty positive step forwards. I'm really pleased with that, to get the central locking sorted, get the windows working again. It's annoying the window motor's still noisy, but I actually went back and watched some of the footage, and it's it's less noisy than it was. I might play the two back to back during the video when I come back to edit it, just so you can hear. It's noisy, fairly noisy. Fix the door lock mechanism as well, which is really cool. Get that working. What else? And try the door card on. Get the water barrier in there, the moisture barrier, and the door card on, so I can see what I need to do in the future. Pretty positive episode, I think. Pretty positive progress. As ever, let's leave it there. As ever, let's wrap up, and please click subscribe, click like, leave me some comments, and I'll see you next time.